Hi, my name is Gerald Chambers. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I wanted to share an article with you that I read last week from The Guardian. Apparently, the South African government is in crisis. Citizens are in crisis because of violence against women, and the citizenry has taken to the streets to challenge the government to try to protect women and girls from intimate partner violence and just violence in general. It seems that a number of women have been coming up murdered and raped, and the government is having a hard time following through on the promise to protect all of its citizens, especially women. And the president is proposing to harsher punishments for people that are convicted of crimes against women. And he's also recommending that their domestic violence or violence against women registry be made public, that the names of the men on the registry, kind of like our sex offender registry here in the United States, that those those names be made public. And the citizens, the women, are not really that convinced that he can follow through on his promises. So many women have died that they're concerned that his words are just empty. And so this is a problem that we see not only in South Africa, but pretty much throughout the world, that governments are having a hard time protecting women from violence, femicide, and intimate partner violence. And part of it has to do, I think, a big contributor is the fact that many governments don't have the resources to follow through on the commitment to provide a safe environment for all of its citizens. And part of that is because of the income disparity in many countries. A few people have all the money, and others in society don't have that much, and governments don't have that much to actually follow through on what they want to do or need to do in order to protect citizens. So I just thought that this was an article that's interesting for us to think about, because there's some talk here in the United States of starting a domestic violence registry. And so, man, we got to step up. We got to, keep our hands off women, stop being violent to women. And so this is something that I talk about, an issue that I work on, and I just wanted to draw your attention to it. It's South Africa. This is one of the articles. The next article I'm going to read is about a situation that's going on in Paris. And so the links to, all the articles that I'm going to be talking about can be found below. This next article that I'd like to direct your attention to is also from The Guardian, published on September 4th. This was from Paris. President Macron went to a domestic violence call center, their emergency call center, and he eavesdropped on a number of calls that came in, on this given day. And one of the calls came in from a woman who was estranged from her husband, went to the police department to try to get a standby, a police officer to go back with her to the apartment to collect some of her things. And the officer refused to go back with her. And she called into the call center, and Macron was listening, eavesdropping without them knowing it, to try to figure out how their program was working. He's got this new effort to try to improve domestic violence prevention in the country. And so he's wearing headphones and he's silently listening to this conversation that's going on. And she was a distressed 57-year-old woman. This is a quote. Called in saying her violent husband had threatened to kill her after years of escalating abuse at home, and that she had to leave. She was at the local police station. She said she had filed a police complaint, but fearing her husband would murder her, she had asked the police to accompany her home to safely retrieve her possessions before leaving, but the police refused. Now, according to Paris law, the police officer was supposed to help her, so he gave her the wrong information. And so this goes to the point that a lot of times law enforcement is not very well trained in how to deal with domestic violence cases, not just in Paris, but here in the United States. And so I thought that this was an interesting article for us to talk about. Yeah, there are times when calling the police can make the situation more dangerous. One, you're calling a gun into your home, and two, sometimes the police can't tell if you're mutual combatants or if somebody's getting beat up. They don't know who the perpetrator is. They just arrest somebody. Sometimes they arrest the wrong person. Sometimes they don't arrest anybody. So there's lots of different kinds of problems that can result. So we all got to do our part to try to make the world safer for women and girls. And so that's why I wanted to just share some articles and bring to your attention some of the issues that are happening, not just in the United States, but around the world with this issue. So thank you for listening.